Hi from Nick.
Hi from Martin.
And today we're going to analyze a property on Dublin Road in Doncaster. Just before we get into it all, it's definitely heating up in Doncaster. So it's a thing. In fact, it's heating up all over the place. And I think the reason is because it's largely investor-led. And if you just think about it like this, you've got £100,000, you've got 10% inflation, real inflation, not CPI, because that's massaged massively. You've got 10% real inflation at least, so you're losing 10 grand a year on your wealth by not investing it. You put it into property, you gain that 10% back, plus you gain because you got low interest rates. And if you buy in the right area, you gain because you get capital gain above the rate of inflation. So just talking to numerous agents recently, it just seems to be increasingly investor-led. That's going to prepare you for this property. So I've talked to the agent, and it's a very hot, in-demand property in what looks like a so-so area. But the reality is everything's heating up all over the place.
Yeah, and it's really nice condition, at least look like so.
Yeah, and in general, the way it plays out is that for these tier 2 areas like Doncaster and so on, we would say, yeah, go for the better condition and then you can compete. But I just think it's getting quite heavy. But anyway, let's just get into it and we'll talk about the property. So obviously 3-bed semi, probably built in the, actually I don't know when it was built. It could be very modern, but I suspect it's 1960s.
Yes, correct.
And there you go. The only reason it could be modern is because the windows and the style, it could easily be a modern building, but a basic one. All right, so let's just look at the floor plan.
And that's the modern radiators near the window, as you can see.
Oh yeah, the feature radiators here, which are nice.
Yeah.
So as ever, it's that story about when people spend money on little things like this, it's because they care, and if they do that, they sink money into extras like that, they'll sink money into other things which are important to the structure of the building, or the fabric of the building, we'll call it. Okay, so here we have the layout, nice layout, big room here, and you've got the kitchen coming off it. Lovely layout, in fact. This is quite interesting, the downstairs extension, which gives you the second lavatory, which is actually very good, and you've got storage space and utility. It's all really nicely done.
Yeah,
great layout. Great.
Yeah, great.
Just great. It's just all great for all these reasons. So, and you've got the shower room here with the thing. It's just nicely done. All right. Now, as ever with all property, you know, it's compromises, and the compromise that one has to make with a property like this is paying more money for it because it's in such good condition. And owner occupiers are going to be all over this because they don't have to spend money on renovation. They just go straight in there with their big mortgage and buy it. And the only threat is whether they have a down valuation. But you can see here, altogether, it's just very nicely done. And let's move on to the view stuff. Now that is an issue. So we've got this room, that all looks fine. Ceilings look okay. And I expect they're the original ceilings. In this room, you do have an issue, which is the polystyrene tiles. It's not a big deal to get rid of, but it does mean that there's going to be quite a lot of prep to do. Yeah, so all these have to be scraped off, and then everything has to be sanded down or given a very light skim just to flatten it out. Not a big deal, but
did they must do right now? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe, because it's a big fire risk. Because as a landlord, you're offering a property that is safe. That's not safe. Yep. So, okay, we got the box room and we got the nice bathroom. Lovely big backyard. We've got some Leylandii here. At least they're not too big. And these are well away from the house, which is good. So there's plenty of light, and I see some fencing panels need fixing. I don't know if this, if it's the responsibility of this homeowner to sort that out, but got to be sorted. Lovely roof, that looks very tidy. And I think it's clay tiles. They look like they're in good order. Now let's have a look at the files for this. And we'll just leave through the pictures. That's not really very useful, but lovely yard, lovely cobblestones, very desirable. Like I said, every property has its compromises. This one, the price. It's going to bid high, and it needs a bit of renovation work. So you've got all of that tiling to do. So the renovation, I think, if you can avoid well, let's just have a look before I get into how much I think it's going to cost. The paintwork looks good, but it looks a bit mottled or patchy in some places, and that's a problem.
Your screen is now.
I know, it's just, it takes a moment or two for it to wake up, and there you go. All right, nice road, nice big road. Wide road, very quiet. We'll have a look at the demographics in a minute, of course. Yep. Nice. Parking. You've got this thing. You could probably cover that with something. And then you've got a covered area, which would be even nicer. Nice carport, basically. Outside porch, which is good. Now let's look at this closely. Cupboard full of stuff, okay. Coats and the like. We've got a cupboard a bit like that. It's kind of got coats and shoes and all sorts of garbage in there. Okay, good storage space. Now, hopefully he's going to find the circuit board, because we need to see that. I think the downstairs all looks fine. I don't think it needs any decoration whatsoever. And I think it's also a very nice layout, with those nice bifold, or not bifold doors, but those double doors leading out to the backyard. Open them up on a sunny day, very pleasant. Then you've got the, so this could probably be given a clean. These cobblestones look so much nicer when they're scrubbed up a bit. And you've got this stepped crack issue. Yeah, so let's just pause on that for a moment. I don't think this is an issue because it's historic. So here we are here. I think what happened was that they had to replace these bricks when they were doing this, and therefore they ended up kind of doing this, replacing a lot of this, or doing something with it. But
yeah, I guess when they put the door, because I think this is not modern door.
No, it's definitely modified.
Yeah, so that's why this happened, I guess.
Very nice big garden.
Yeah. This property is lovely. And people will, that's why they bid high.
Now the paint, go on.
Because a lot of owner occupiers will, as you said, like they will spend the money on the property, not on the renovation, because they can have cheaper money.
But also I think Doncaster is a bit more balanced. So you've got owner occupiers and investors, whereas there are certain hotspots in Manchester which are swarming with investors, and it's a very investor-led market. And now what's happening, of course, is people are getting very nervous about inflation, and they're just trying to sink as much cash into property as they can to get to hedge against inflation effectively. But with this market, it's increasingly investor-led, I would say. And a lot of investors are overseas people, and they just don't want the aggravation with renovations, obviously. And therefore, these properties will bid up, whether it's owner, occupier, or investor. It could, I'm deliberating about whether it needs a painting and decorating. I kind of think it does. If you didn't touch it, but just fixed the fire safety issues, then you would be looking at £2,000, but
Or 3.
I think it. Yeah, I think it's a substantial enough house, and I think there's quite a lot of areas which just need painting and decorating.
So maybe £2,000, and plus it needs garden sorting out, cleaning, and just wash.
Some fence panels.
Yeah, I think 4,000 will be the renovation.
Possibly.
Not more.
I think that's sort of. I think there are 3 budgets here really. One is just minimal. Try not to touch anything. Just do the fire safety stuff. That's say £1,000 or £1,500, let's say. Then, yeah, you see here on the walls, oops, you can't really see it that easily, but it's kind of mottled. And I just don't know whether, well, I just don't know whether it needs doing or not. I think a lot of the property is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think it is.
So I suspect your second kind of tier would be 3,500 because you would get some painting and decorating done.
Yeah, and the wire looks nice. It's enough high, as I saw.
Yeah, they did everything but that ceiling. Oh well. And then the third level to this is where you start painting. For example, here you can see they're using some sort of eggshell, which is very shiny and it's washable, which is good, but just not to everyone's taste. And a bit of paper needs fixing in there, just details basically. This looks very presentable. Ceiling has a little issue, but that could be finished properly and redone. It's just how far you really want to go with improvements on a property like this. And
yeah, and the color is it's a gray, but now it's famous for the walls.
Yeah, it's
you don't
a
need
nice
to
color.
paint. Yeah, you don't need to paint. Yeah, you don't need to paint.
It's
kind of modern property.
It is, isn't it? And it's the grey. I always think of it as the kind of modern equivalent of avocado, which was a very popular color in the 70s. So in the future, people will look at grey and just go, why on earth did they paint it grey? But anyway,
yeah,
it all looks very nicely done. Still haven't seen that circuit board, that fuse board. Now, one thing I haven't been looking for, and I want to, is where the sockets are.
Yeah,
so let's just have a look. Oh yeah, there's a nice high one. Tricks, you see. One of the tricks is where are the sockets? Because if the sockets are up high, it means that they had to follow building regs, more modern building regs, socket low. I wonder if,
in the I think I saw in the desk room in the smallest bedroom I see them was high.
I think maybe they did the wiring upstairs and not downstairs.
But in the kitchen is in the laboratory is also up.
Yeah, I think it's probably okay. I say probably okay. It's probably okay. All right, so let's have a look at the other stuff, the demographics, crime, and so on. Very quiet, I expect. Not so quiet on that football field, but anyway.
Yeah, but this is opposite on the other side of the house. The yellow pin is not correct.
Super quiet. It's just a very quiet suburban area, which is great. And obviously it backs onto this thing, whatever this is.
Yeah.
And all right, so the next thing is, what are the people like around here? And good is the answer. So it's a middle to upper middle class area, essentially. Now, the demographics shift a little bit the further north you go, but broadly, I would say that this is within this catchment here. And I would say it's a good area, a nice area full of nice people. And it, instead of explaining all the numbers, I'm just talking it through with you. It's very Englishy. So that's good. Now, the next question is, what about the capital growth? And the issue we've got here with this area, so the blue line represents the boundary for this sample, is that you've got all of this local authority housing here, which just is not the same kind of housing as you probably have down here. So what we're interested in is like for like as much as possible. And obviously this is a different demographic over here. But broadly, I would say the majority of the transactions are probably that upper middle class segment. So let's just have a look and see what's going on. All right, well, it's growing nicely. It's above rate of inflation. That's a good start. And it has already got above the inflation adjusted levels of 2000. No, it hasn't actually. Let's have a look. Okay, it's still below 2007 numbers. That's interesting. So there's still quite a lot of headroom here. It hasn't grown a great deal from 2009, sort of though it's 2009 bottom of the market. And it is, yeah, there's a lot of headroom here, actually. That's super interesting. And it kind of ties in with an overall view of mine, which is that Doncaster is a very interesting location and I like it a lot. And I can foresee a ton of capital gain here. Main reason, because places like Manchester are getting a bit overbought with certain parts of it. And you got the housing stock here and you got relatively good value and you got nice demographics. So unless Doncaster as a whole city just completely crashes, then it should come up good on growth. Okay, over to you.
Yeah, I will share my screen. Okay, so first, for the condition, the EPC, it's D61, and what it needs to be improved, increase the loft insulation, flat roof or sloping ceiling insulation. I guess this is for the extension, and that's why it's like a 1,000 if you need to. And they're asking for internal or external wall insulation, but or floor insulation. So basically, you can increase to EPC C or low lighting energy, which is really, I mean, it's not expensive as heating control thermostat. So basically, what if you want to increase to C, you need to change the radiator heating controller, and you need to low lighting energy to increase. Just change some light, and you need to do the loft insulation. So basically, it will cost you less than 1,000, I guess, and then you will be C. So this is not an issue because, as we know, that the government maybe will change the rules, and from 2026. 26, it will maybe the request will be minimal C for renting a property. But this property
hopefully will not, because if that happens, it'll be a catastrophe. But yeah, that's another story.
Yeah, but we want to check the risk, so we're checking. So about the risk, surface water is medium risk. This can cover the insurance, and river and the sea very low risk, and I will show you. So basically, it's as you can see, just like a surface water who can come here, and it can have like a medium, but it's more like a low risk. I don't know why it's medium. So yeah,
but also this property doesn't have a cellar. It's got a step up to the property, so it would have to be one massive flood for the place to get flooded.
Yeah, so I don't see there is an issue. There is no coal mining issue. So that's it. And also for it's built between 50 and 66, it's 99 meters square, which is amazing. And as you can see, in June 2020, it sold for 214. And I will try to find the historical sale because we have it. And number 3, here it is. I hope they will have the older picture because I think, yeah, you can see it was a really, really bad condition. So basically, he changed everything and he improved the property massively. So he spent at least 30 grand at least.
Yeah, but interestingly, he avoided a couple of key issues: the
Yeah.
ceilings, polystyrene ceilings, and possibly the wiring. So there is a risk here, which is around the wiring. But apart from that, nice property.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, if you increase at least 30K, but I think he spent more because you can see he changed here the ceiling.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Let me check. Oh, here it is. Oh no, he didn't. It's the same.
But just different light features.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know. Yeah, but the kitchen is full new. All this is a brand new. The bathroom. So I think he spent at least 30K.
Yeah, well, you made a good decision buying that property.
Yeah.
What with the garden and everything. It's fundamentally good, and this is a prime example of an interesting property deal whereupon if the fabric of the property is good, like the walls are good and so on, and you don't have to re-roof, rewire, replumb, redo the plaster and the ceilings, but you just got something that's dated, then great.
Yep.
You know, you buy it relatively cheaply and you turn it. But the thing is, he's got his timings right, because last year Doncaster just wasn't on the radar for a lot of people. And
2 years ago, basically.
2 years ago, I should say, and now it is. So it's all heating up. So yeah.
Yeah. So the location is, as we see, it was this property maybe because this is close to commercial. But anyway, it's not really noisy. But maybe it will have issue with mortgage. So here is the property. So I don't see any issue with the property.
It's a great location.
Yeah, the location is great. You have like a small stores here, a lot of, which is amazing. You have like a football field. You're really close to the hospital. So basically, you have everything what like you need. Here you have also some markets. So basically, and it's really central. Going to central Doncaster, it's like transport is 12 minutes, or if you go by walking, you will go for 25 minutes, which is really, really nice. And also you have one parking like a garage. You can fit 3 or 4 cars in the garden. Plus you have a really huge garden, so which is amazing. And also for the comparables, I will use the map and property. So basically, I want to show you the plot. So here is the plot. So you can see it's really, really large.
So is it ex-local authority?
No, I don't think so. A local authority, it should be in this area.
Yeah.
In this,
well, the census data doesn't say.
Yeah. It don't look like it's ex-local authority. Maybe some of the houses, but not. I'm not sure.
I think further north, but anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, so here is the comparable 165 sold in Jan, but the conditions are not similar. And also, when I zoom out, you can see this one property sold for 155 in February, but let's compare it in the condition. You can see it's not, doesn't have extension. The kitchen is sold, need upgrading. The carpet as well.
Still lovely houses.
Yeah, but
just
you need to
fundamentally nice houses.
But you need to spend at least 10K to renovate. So it will go to 168, 170.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And also when we do comparables, 145 in September. This also really help us to, but this smaller property, and also this needs some upgrading.
Well, exactly. So you got the pounds per square foot number on this.
Yeah. 160. And here, for example, is 176. Here is 154.
Okay, so the question is, how much do you think it's worth?
Because
well, actually, we need to do the yield calc, don't we? So then we know what it's worth based on the.
So basically, this is the highest properties on the market because they are not the same. I will just quick go over it, so you can see that the properties are asking prices go really high, but not same type of property. But this property is really nice built. I think it's really good quality of the property. So, yep. And you can see a lot of properties are selling in this area.
Yeah, the other thing with Doncaster is we've got a really good builder in Doncaster.
Yeah.
So it just makes the whole process simple, which
and the letting agency we have as well. So.
Yeah. So, and for what it's worth, personally, I'm going to be looking very closely at Doncaster for purchases because I just think it's a nice town, nice demographics, and we've got people we can trust to get the work done.
Yeah, I think
and nice housing, nice building quality, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think maximum, just because inflation, just because of everything, 175. Maybe if you really want to push 177, and if you go for rent property,
exactly. So it all comes down to the yield, and that determines what it's worth.
I think 850 will be the rent.
Okay, well, let's do some calculations then. All right, and okay, so we say 177. Now the renovation, there is some renovation risk with this property because we don't know the quality of the wiring, and we do need a decent circuit board in this place. So I'm going to say the renovation is 3,500, just in case. So in other words, it assumes not too much painting and decorating, remove the polystyrene tiles, redo the fuse board. Hopefully the wiring will be okay. The rent, did you say how much?
850. It's not the best yield.
No, but it's a safe yield. So you could go up to 180,000 and you get 5.56. Yeah, I quite like this. I think this works.
Yeah, but also when you will do the validation, I think the validation will come around 160, 165. No, the rent 575 will not be that achievable. 188.
Yeah, I'm just playing with numbers. Okay, let's score it. And condition.
Yeah, and do you want condition really nice. Expect that.
But there's risk with condition.
Yeah.
Location.
Great, 4.3. It's really, really nice. Area, really good, 4.1. Crime is really low.
4. Demographics, good. Capital growth, it's all relative. So it's not as hot as Manchester, but I think it's got great potential, although that's a bet. But I think we're already seeing it. So things are heating up, the competition's increasing, and that naturally leads to capital gain. But you know, you can have a lot of competition for a property and no one's got any money, and therefore you don't get a rise in values. But there's investor money coming in, and therefore I see growth. I'm going to call it 4 on growth. If I didn't see strong growth in the future, I wouldn't give it a score as good as that. Yield?
Not the best, because Doncaster, but the issue is with Doncaster right now, the price is going up, but the rent is not going up, especially in this 3 semi-detached house. I think Doncaster is more about the yield, not about the capital growth, and also just because, but this property will have huge capital growth because of the location. So I think, so generally I think it's 3.8, not the best yield.
Gets an average score. So that's interesting. That's relatively good. I think its big pluses are just the quality of the building, the big garden, the proximity to the hospital, the likelihood of a lot of growth in Doncaster over the next number of years, the fact that it never caught up with that basically it's still well below the 2007 market peak when you adjust for inflation. So there's a lot of value sitting in there. Now, some areas just, are just lost. So Blackpool, parts of Blackpool anyway, Newcastle and so on. But Doncaster, I think, is a pretty vibrant economy, and I've done some assessments on this, and it's doing all right. So yeah. I think it's a very, very, very interesting property. Oops, I should have just done that final summary without the screen share. Yeah, well, you heard me say what I think. What's your final summary?
Yeah, my summary, Doncaster heating up really not a lot, and I think for taking this property you must go, because also with the client or with the agent what we talk, it have already 4 offers, and
which is high for Doncaster, by the way.
Yeah. You need to pay at least 175, I think, if you want to have the property.
Yeah, well, I did put some notes there. What did I say?
Offer need to be at least 175, 177. So yeah, I think the maximum offer is 177. I will go for offer better than not pay more than that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think there are some risks with this to do with the electrics and so on. But the way you can play it is that you can I don't know. I just generally, I think Doncaster is super interesting, and I hope you get your radar onto Doncaster much more. There are probably properties where there's less condition risk, but it's a nice location and big garden and all those things. So the other thing is that if you did offer high and you found that actually the property needs rewiring and what have you, then you just either negotiate down or whatever. The other thing to bear in mind is if you offer very high, if you're getting a mortgage on it, it's likely to suffer a down valuation. And in that event, you've got really good grounds for renegotiation. So in any scenario, your risk is relatively well covered.
Yeah, but I think the owner, because he's doing flipping, I'm not sure that he will accept the maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a little bit risky about that, but you can try your luck because we never know about that, what can happen.
Yeah, and I think it's well worth getting in the fray and offering. It's just being aware of how much and all that.
At least 175. Maybe you can try 170, but you will not have chance.
So speaking with the agent, they want to close the sale as soon as, and there are offers on the table. I think the agent is surprised by the interest, but I'm not really. And there is talk about doing some more viewings over the weekend. I'm not sure, but if you do want to offer, let me know as soon as, and I can get back to the agent. We can just kind of get on with it. Anyway, nice property, bit of condition risk. Okay, thank you.